I am beyond excited today because this morning at something like 4:30 in the morning, my wonderful, miraculous husband messaged me in Discord and he said, oh, hold on a minute, I can hear my own voice. Okay, we're back. So I got a Discord message from my husband and he said, do you have any idea of what you're thinking of for vibe for the music? And of course I do. I've been thinking about this for a very long time. And so I sent him a couple of YouTube videos of just like, well, I don't even want to spoil it, but of what I've been thinking of for the vibe for the soundtrack. And he, not only is he a much better C++ programmer than I am, but I've never even dabbled in music creation. And that's his thing. And so I don't even know. It took him less than an hour probably today. But this afternoon, somehow, amidst watching our son, he's like, hey, I want to show you a vibe check, or I want to get your vibe check on this music. And he recreated, but better, exactly the vibe that I was going for in the music. And I cannot wait to show you guys. That'll be his domain. I was trying to get him to show you a sneak peek on his stream tomorrow. I don't know if he will or won't. You'll have to watch. Maybe try to goad him into showing you a sneak peek. He'll eventually stream working on it, but for now, just know that the music exists, or it's starting to exist. He's got some experimental stubs and they are so good and I just can't wait. So I'm very, very happy today. So a quick elevator pitch for those that are new to the stream. I am working on a game with my husband in a game engine that we built together over the last 5 to 6, I don't even know how many years, it's been a long time. 5 or 6 years. I'm going to say 5 because we've taken a break now for a while on the engine itself. But we wrote a game engine in C++ with a renderer that's gone through many different iterations. I work on the rendering side of it. He works on the ECS and the everything else side of it, and the architecture and the making sure it's good side of it. And we've made a couple of little things, but we've never made a commercial project in the game before. And this is our first commercial or in the game engine. This is our first commercial project in the game engine. And we are writing it without the use of LLMs, the old-fashioned way, because LLMs are cool and great, but this is my oasis from all of that. So I get to write things how I want them, and they are just as good as they need to be. And I grow and learn every day, and you can come with me on my learning journey. A little bit about the game. It is a CRPG reskin of it started out as Dominion, but the goal is to take a deck builder game and take a CRPG retro dark fantasy 90s RPG feel and compress it into a 30-minute experience. So you will level up, you'll get weapons, you'll get equipment, you will build your library of skills via leveling up, and those skills are translate to your cards. And the whole thing is compressed into a 30-minute experience. Hopefully 30 minutes. We'll see when we actually get to prototyping it. I'm going to try to keep it as trim as I can. It will feel very, very much, will invoke the nostalgia of the 90s when we weren't overstimulated and overspammed by AI crap in the world, and everything that came out was novel and exciting. So that is the goal. Last couple of streams I've been working on this class selection menu. My husband and I are in functional prototype mode. So the goal is to, well, get a functional prototype going as quickly as possible so we can start playing through it ourselves and work through any of the kinks. So this is a networking game. It's going to be for 4 players. And we are working on Steam integration. Yeah, I'm not Claude coding. Hello, 25 MLO, 25 milliliters of juice guy 80. Welcome to the stream. So that's the summary. And today, because I don't actually have that much time, and I find that when I'm streaming, I'm mostly just chatting, I'm going to try to be more disciplined and chat less. So I'll be looking at the stream less often than I usually do to try to get some actual work done today. One thing I did want to do, though, is just go over for both you and me, because I haven't worked on it since this morning, the code for the class selection menu. So what it looks like real quick in its current state. Start a single player, multiplayer game. I'm just going into single player for the class selection menu. When you hit start, I a couple of mini streams back before my break, I had done this guy, painted him. I'm much more of an artist than I am a programmer, but programming is my career, so maybe I shouldn't say that out loud. But I painted this guy. I'm really happy with how he looked. He's going to be our barbarian, and I have not yet had a chance to paint the others. So this is our rogue and this is our wizard. There will be 3 classes you can choose from. And the way that the class selection menu works, because there will be a shared card library between all of the players and constraints based on the class that you pick and the skills you level up, what cards you could buy out of each skill tree, intelligence, agility, and strength. So it will matter what class you choose. So if everyone is barbarian, there's going to be contention for the strength cards. So what we have here is and my husband wrote this back end, but there is a timer. I believe you get 15 seconds to take your turn if you do, or to pick your class. If you do not pick one in 15 seconds, one will be assigned to you. And that's implemented in the back end. I just now have to wire up more UI state around whose turn it currently is. Right now it's player 2's turn to pick. These buttons should be disabled if it is not your turn to pick. I am player 0, I think, here. Yes, I am. So the goal for tonight is to wrap up this menu. I want to... What do I want to do here? I want to disable these guys if it is not their turn, to show visually who the current player's turn is. I want to list I have a text box here that says the name of the current player whose turn it is. I'm gonna actually write this down. Right, so what am I gonna do? So 1. I don't want to look at the log. I want to look at the... Let's say text field that updates to reflect current player whose turn it is. I need to disable the class buttons if it's not current, not local player's turn. And then I need to send class selection request when chosen, and then I need to transition to game scene when all have chosen. Oh, and then I also need to show Steam username of players instead of player X. So 25 milliliters of juice guy asked, why not create Roblox games? Because I don't want to, I guess, is as easy as that, as simple as that. Roblox is cool. My nephews play a lot of Roblox, or played a lot of Roblox. I've actually been in the Roblox editor a little bit. It's cool, but it's not where my heart lies. All right, so let's start with text field that updates to reflect current player whose turn it is. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. I'm actually going to move this one down underneath because we need to first, of course, know what the username is of the current player. Do you make Roblox games? Right, disable class buttons if it is not local player's turn. That one's a good starting point for tonight. And I'm hoping to be able to stream a little bit longer tonight because I have a holiday off of work tomorrow, so I can stay up later. So I will take a little bit of time just to show you the code I've been working on the last couple of days. So our UI layer is mGUI, and it turns out if you are stubborn enough, you can make a production UI with mGUI. So I've done some work in the engine to get images and font scaling support, and that is all you need. So a little bit of a step back. So we have a UI class, and the way the UI works is it will get triggered to set the mode based on whatever scene is loaded. So the scene has a pointer to the UI, and it will set based on what kind of scene it is. If it's the main menu scene, it'll pass the main menu mode into the UI, which will then set the UI, the current active UI. So we have a main menu UI and a class selection UI. Then the UI, this is just as much as possible is just straight mGUI in this class. Then there's a class selection controller, which is the presentation and game logic for whatever needs to render in the UI. And let's take a look at those now. I'll start with the controller because it's more interesting. So this class is responsible for, specifically the class selection controller is responsible for sending events or raising events from or passing along events that have already been raised from game events. It's responsible for sending client events back to the server. It's responsible for loading images and showing them. And then it's responsible for deciding who is the active player, whose turn it is, and anything relating to selecting a class and showing the classes. Then the UI, so that's the class selection controller. And I'll show you that code a little bit in more detail. You'll probably just catch it as I'm working on it, but then the UI is pretty light. So this is has a draw method, and that's its entry point, really. And that's called every frame. We passed it the extent of the scene, of the screen. Then it has, again, a reference to the controller, and then just some font concerns here. And if we take a look in that draw call, we get the window dimensions. And the way that I've handled scaling is kind of, I like how I've done it here, or adjusting when the screen resizes. We just have ratios, height ratios. So what is the height of this in relation to the height of the screen? So if I chose 400 pixels, for example, for the height of the image, and I'm on a 1920 by 1080p monitor, it'll be one size. But if I go to a 2560 by 1440p monitor, it will be still 400 pixels, so it'll be much smaller in relation to the rest of the screen. So to solve that problem, I just use ratios. So the selected class icon height is always going to be 0.15 of the screen height, and then the aspect ratios are just control the width off of that. So we pass in the extent, we get the window dimensions from the extent, and then we pass those down into this is our draw method again. We pass our window dimensions down into the methods here that each are concerned with a specific aspect of drawing the window. Then, let's see, so we have a 2-column layout. I'll show you that again quick. Do I have a lot of experience with mGUI? Medium. Medium, I'd say. I've used mGUI a lot, but there's still a lot I don't know about it. But I can bend mGUI to my will generally. So we have a 2-column layout here. That's what you're seeing with this mGUI columns. Then you can set column width for the first one. I've set it to be 0.15 of 15% of the extent of the screen, of the width. And so that handles this column here. Then the second column is the other 0.85 of the screen width. And that is for these guys. So then tying it all back together, we draw our title, which is pretty simple. It's just we push the title font, we pop up a little text box, and then we set up our layouts for the column, like I just explained, and then we draw the class selection results array, which is what I'll be working on tonight, because that's where we have to do some disabling and some user name showing. Then we show the class options in our next column, which is pretty light too. We make a little table, and then for each table we draw the class based on a class details struct for each of the classes that just has their flavor text and their stats and their icon and image. All right, so hopefully I'll be wrapping this class up today. So what did I say I was working on first? Disabling the class buttons if it's not the local player's turn. Right. So I don't have a handle to the local player saying what is my player ID, but what I do have is, and I could get it, but I don't want to pass. I don't want to inject another dependency in here if I don't have to. But I can get it by the event that is already raised. So every time the select class prompt, which is on a timer handled by a different system, every time it raises the event that says on prompt select class, we can handle that event. And I've just put this morning or last night, I updated the event data to pass the player ID of whose turn is it. And wait, because I think I do need to inject. Let's see, what do I actually want to do here? Yeah, dang it. I do need to inject the instance manager. So I still don't have an idea of what my player ID is. So I thought I know what the player ID is of the current person who's picking the class. But in order to disable the UI, I need to know, is that me? And I don't have that information. Because previously this event was only raised when it was my turn, so my game client would only get it picked up if it was my turn. But now I've changed that to be raised for everybody so that we can get that nice behavior where we show the disabled and it goes down the list to show who's up. But now because of that, we don't have any information of who the player ID is. So we can get that information, the local player information, out of the game instance. I'm just sad about it because I went through all this work to try to keep things clean and made a command dispatch class to wrap some of the instance manager functionality. But I will be sadly passing it in. Now that one we can forward declare, probably. Yeah, let's forward declare it. Instance manager. I don't even think I need you anymore. Okay. So the instance manager is the class that handles the current instance of our game. That was something my husband really helped me with. Hi, Mikey Myers. If you watch my stream from the beginning, you'll know I'm having the best day ever today because my husband popped out some absolutely banger music for me for the game in like 20 minutes. It probably took him less than an hour. And to be able to, and I use YouTube videos to send him what I was thinking, but for him to go from working on the game with me and capturing my vision through extrapolating from my YouTube videos I sent him and then just delivering so good. My God, it was a cool feeling. I'm gonna be riding that high for days. And I was telling the others that if you watch his stream, which might be tomorrow morning or Saturday morning, I'm not sure when he's going to stream. He's the night owl, so he wakes up at 2 in the morning, and that's when you'll have to watch him. But if you watch him, he might give you a sneak peek, he might not. If you pester him, he might. But it is so good. It elevates everything so much by how good it was. And I'm not just blowing smoke. I only listened to like 15 seconds of the song that he'd written, and it was he's nailed it. So I'm very, very in a very good mood today. All right. And not even having to pass an instance manager as a dependency just for one class or one stupid bool will get me down. It's just not a bool, it's a player ID. Okay, then what do I gotta do next? Hi, you 2430. Yes, it does. I use so the renderer, a little bit of history. I started with DirectX 11. My husband mostly wrote that renderer. Then I decided I wanted to get into rendering and game dev or game engine dev. And so I decided that my first graphics API was going to be Vulkan, and spent 3 years probably writing a renderer in Vulkan from scratch. Finally got to the point where my overgeneralizations and over abstractions, where I abstracted into the wrong idea because I didn't have a good picture of graphics at the time, got to a just non-starter. I could no longer produce anything without every new feature I added to the renderer, because it was based on faulty principles. I had to go and undo so much. So then we looked at, well, what kind of general purpose renderers do they have? Do they have a good library that we can build off of so we don't have to go all the way from scratch in Vulkan again? And I found Diligent. And Diligent is fantastic. I cannot say enough positive things about them. Number one being that if you ever go to the Diligent Discord and you have a question, the guy that made Diligent will answer your question. And at least he has answered mine within an hour every single time, and I've had no shortage of questions. So I highly recommend it. I'm breaking my rule. I've got to look at chat less often so I can actually pay attention to what I'm doing, because I've injected a single variable into the parameter into my constructor halfway since I've started this tree. Okay. Okay, so now if I want to know if it is my oh yeah, so I do want is local player turn. So that would be if m, and I have forward declared the instance manager, so I'm going to define this in the CPP. Okay. Class details. For goodness sake. So I want to assert here. So the instance manager is what I was mentioning before, is responsible for holding the active game instance, but there are places where you can access the instance manager where you're outside of the context of the game. Think about the main menu, for example. So I want to assert that we are in game when we try to do this. Game. Awesome. Yeah, you're telling me you haven't included Instance Manager. You game. Where are you? Instance dot. So this will get the local player ID. Equals the m underscore player. Oh, I hate that variable name. Thank you. So chat, I have a question for you. I struggle with naming, as does every programmer, and I need to hold this variable here. And this variable is the player ID of the player whose turn it currently is to pick their class. What should I call it? I can't call it, I'd like to call it, you know, say M active player ID. But, or I mean even M active player, but that to me makes it very confusing as to am I the active player? Is that what that means? Or is it the player who's not me, may or may not be me, but it's actively picking a turn? So if you have any suggestions what I can call this sucker, because I am currently calling it player picking a class. And then this gets updated when we get the prompt to select a class. It'll have the information in the update event of who the player it is, whose turn it is. So we set it there. God, what do I call that? Dave. I'm not going to call it Dave. Current, but okay, the problem with current player ID. Oh. Well, okay, but so the reason I don't like current player ID, because I've thought about that already, is if we go to the instance manager, it already has a get player ID, which is, it implies that it's, oh, hold on, I've got to mute my dog's yapping. Of course, he started right, he stopped right when I muted. So get current player ID, when I think about that, I think that if I was 6 months from now looking at this interface, that would be the player ID of the local player. You know, I'll call it that. And I'll just leave a comment for myself 6 months from now. Thanks for the suggestion. Sorry, Bali Josu, we're not going with Dave. I do like it. Yeah, that feels nice. So let's leave a comment. This is the ID of the player whose turn it currently is. Okay, so back here. So is the local player's turn. That's a very useful method to have. So, of course. Current turn player ID. I like that even better. I don't know why my automatic rename tool isn't working. Oh well. No matter. Current turn player ID. Then I don't even need this comment. I'll know what that means. All right. So now that we know if it's the local player's turn, what was on my list today? Okay, disable class buttons if it's not the current player's turn. So imgui begin disable. That we want m controller dot player is local player turn. So if it is not the local player's turn, I want to disable the class buttons. Missing a colon. And disabled. Okay, let's test that out. Alrighty. I have to show you guys briefly my very nice setup here. So if you can see the laptop behind me, when you're developing a Steam game, specifically Steam networking, let's move this over here. You have to be testing with live Steam accounts. I haven't figured out a way not to. So I'm too lazy to go over here and type on my laptop to test. So I have created a network share that when I build on, so the network share is mapped to my install directory where the game goes when I build it and install it. And then this laptop has a script that syncs against my network share to then pull in the executable into the proper Steam location. And then, voila, I now have the latest build on, oh, and then I also use remote desktop to connect to my laptop. So now that is my laptop with my laptop Steam game. And then over here is my desktop with my desktop Steam profile. Now we have 2 instances of the game going, and I'm going to create a lobby on the laptop. And then I'm going to browse for a lobby, and there it is. I'm going to start it on the laptop. Okay, and then let's test here. So it looks like it is, yep, it's enabled on the laptop. And the laptop is player 0, so I can't select a class yet. I don't know how long it is. Maybe it needs to be a little bit shorter because I don't know how long it'll take a player to actually pick a class, and we don't want to be waiting for someone that's deliberately being slow. Yeah, that's way too long. Sounds like it might be okay, there we go. Oh, it worked! Look, did you see that? This got disabled, and now I'm player 2, and so now I can pick. Awesome. Okay. That is working. Check. Okay, send class selection request when chosen. I already did that yesterday, so that the other day. I'm using C++ 23. I think we have not gone to 26 yet. Then we use MSVC to build. The engine might still support, I actually don't know if it does, but definitely supports MSVC. Right, so that's working, and then we want to handle class selected. I don't think I put anything in there, so oh yeah, right here. So the way I'm doing the class selection, I keep a boolean in the class details. It's a little bit of a violation of separation of concerns, because class details probably should just be the static details and not holding the button, but I really wanted my classes to, or my methods to draw class to be neat, and so far so good. So I'm going to live with it for now. But now I can say, let's see. So, oh yeah, I don't think, okay, that's why I did this. So handle class selected will then check to see if barbarian dot is clicked. So if is local player turn. If not, is local player turn return. We don't want to allow you to send a server request if it is not your turn. And then oh yeah, I can just do this. So auto class selected class ID equals class ID none. Barbarian. You guys should watch my husband's stream and then try to get him to show you the song he made for me. It was just a little stub, but oh my god, it was so good. For all of you that are up at 8:28 p.m. Central and also 2 o'clock in the morning Central, use select but noble few. All right, then if selected class ID does not equal selected class ID, class ID none. I'm gonna call this request select class. Oh. Okay, so this is gonna run every turn, and if it's not the local player's turn, it's gonna return out, early out. If the barbarian is not clicked, and the rogue is not clicked, and the wizard is not clicked, then and don't really like how that, I'd like to invert that somehow, but it's fine for now. Okay, then we're gonna do our fun laptop trick. Oh, they jumped the gun because we haven't finished building yet. All right, then this time we're gonna, oh, yeah, so my husband wrote in the ability to rejoin a game if you've left it recently, which is pretty cool, but I don't we have I don't know if we've created an issue yet or not for it, but we want to eventually add more stuff when we're not in functional prototype. Make it a little bit more clever. But it's very cool because if you get kicked from the, or not get kicked, but if you lose game connection, you can just open up the app and rejoin the game again. Okay, so I'm going to invite that player to a party. Where's my laptop? Over here. There you are. Should have been pinged to join the game. Okay, then we're going to start the game. And now we're testing that when it's your turn, you can actually send. Oh, we crashed. Why? Okay, let's go a little bit more simply here and just test it single player. All right, keeping an eye on the log. So it is my turn to pick. I'm going to choose wizard. Oh, I'm sending too many. Oh, yeah, because I could send, it could be my turn many times within, because we're running that every frame. Yeah, so it's my turn. Barbarian still click. That's the bug. Yeah, so. Oh, goodness. I'm going to do this the same way that I did the main menu controller, and then I'll go back and make smart state. My husband was streaming, cleaning up a bunch of my bugs in the main menu controller, and he got rid of a bunch of the staples and had a really nice enum that showed state. And I'll move to that, but I just want to get the plumbing in place here. Class selected. Okay. I'm really a stickler about whatever possible. Using question verbiage in Booleans. I think it makes things a lot easier. What am I? Where? Oh, here it is. Jeepers. Okay, so if the class is selected, return. Then. Okay, let's try that again. Oh, that's not my network share syncer. You are. Okay, well, that looks... Oh, it's random. That's awesome. He did it. Okay, so I'm going to choose Wizard. Yeah, that didn't crash this time, and I'm going to choose Rogue. All right, then the bots chose Barbarian and Barbarian. Hey, that worked. Awesome. Right, on that note, I will be right back. Taking a small break here. All right, I am back, and glasses jump scare. I'm supposed to be wearing them more often, but I'm going through the whole workday without wearing them now for weeks, and it's a bad habit. Alrighty. So, did I... Yes, done. Now, what next here? Transition to game scene when all I've chosen. That actually has to happen last. I just don't want to do the Steam username stuff now, but it is time. So the reason I don't want to do the Steam username stuff is because we have a Steam lobby service that gets the username here, but it's really not a concern of the Steam lobby service. It is a concern of a Steam util service, and that's just a lot of boilerplate, but it's time. So I'm going to commit this stuff. Pre-util service. So where should that go here? It's part of the network, so I will make an I utility service, I suppose. Okay, then lobby service is gonna go over here. Oh, goodness sake, you're gonna get banished if you keep barking. Nobody wants to listen to it. Nobody does. You get one strike and then you're gonna get banished, okay? One. Put your pen in Cuppy's spot. Oh. Oh, goodness sake. All right. Oh, all right. I'll be right back. All right. Thank you for sticking around. That is Sifo, and he is our American Eskimo. And if anyone has training advice, please send it my way because he has trained us. What we all witnessed there was he was barking because he wants his nighttime ham. And I don't want him to bark. And so I gave him his nighttime ham. And all that does is reinforce that if he barks, he gets his night ham. We're actually going to be working with a trainer for him now. I'm pretty excited about it. We're in contact now. All right. He's been banished. So getting a player persona is outside of the scope of the lobby service. And so we're going to have to do a couple things here. We're going to move the player persona to the utility service, and then we're going to have to pass in the utility service into places where and pull the player persona out of the utility service or the lobby service. And then pass it around to all the places that called the lobby service previously. All right, so we need network. You are going to be a ritual. And so far, that's all we need to do. Okay, so Balaji Josu, sorry Bali Josu. I'm sure I'm not even, oh gosh darn it. I'm sure I'm not even saying it correctly, but it suggests that we start reducing ham quality, and that would be a great suggestion, except for that the ham is already bottom tier. But I don't remember the brand of the ham, but if you go to like the cheapest store imaginable and buy the cheapest ham imaginable, that's the ham that he is currently consuming for his night ham. All right, so we have our utility service, and then we need to make a Steam utility service. That's really all it has to do for now. Steam utility service. H. So we are going to public class, Steam utility service, public I utility service, and then public, can I call you public? I want to, I think, for, yes I do, yes I do. Okay. What were you doing? Oh, that's so many things. Shoot. That is so many things. Okay. Well, that's even more justification for it not to be a concern of the lobby manager and the lobby service. Okay, what did you need? You need a... Caching. Okay, so we need the cache player personas. Where are you? Clear network. Then I think I can just take you wholesale. Except there is one more step that I need to add here, which is to fetch the data, which I wasn't doing here, which I think is why if you don't have if you're not friends with the person in your lobby, you don't get their profile picture currently. Okay, now we need a new CPP. We're to the right folder. Okay, we need Steam friends for sure. Oh, that covers Steam ID. Then we need Steam utils. And then we need, oh, we can actually, this will be nice because we're going to be able to pull a lot of things that really aren't lobby concerns out of the lobby. So asset data and asset. I can pull, then let's see. Okay. So that's the easy part, unfortunately. So next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make little subtasks here. So we need to make utility service to get usernames. Then we need to inject into class selection controller. Then we need to remove get player persona out of lobby service. Then we need to inject scene utility service into callers of lobby service that needed get player persona. All right, so this one is done. Oh, and then we need to see. I don't remember if I had tests. Do I need them? There's nothing much to test here outside of Steam interaction, so we'll be okay without testing this method, unfortunately. Okay, so step 1 is done. Step 2, yeah. Okay, so let's go to the app and the service factory. Don't need anything, which is nice. Okay, what are you called? In the Steam service factory. Then I will need to make a mock, which I didn't put in my to-do list, but we'll just knock it out really quick for testing. Keep on the roadmap in there. So now I gotta make one. Where's the syntax for in place? One of my worst abilities that is underdeveloped in C++ is being able to understand what this means. My husband legitimately can. He'll be like, oh yeah, you just need to pass in a network ID and then your player persona. Okay, no network ID and then player persona. You need... Oh, I did default initialize you. Oh, we're finding bugs left and right. File image equals... No. Okay. So that is adding a default empty player persona into my cache player personas, and then we can return that one in our mock class. So that should be good. Then we need a mock service factory edition of utility service. All right. Mocks are taken care of. We have our utility services being able to be created from our service factory. Then app. Can make one here. There's a lot of ado for getting a username out of Steam, but it's nice not to have leaks of responsibilities, because really getting a persona has nothing to do with a lobby. Okay, app. Can we for declare you? Yes. Okay. Oh, and I never added the CPP to the CMake. Okay, it was an app. And put the utility service right after the lobby service. All right, then We're working on injecting it into the UI. And how does... I think we're just going to have to get just a direct reference to it out of app. Which makes sense because it is a general purpose service that will be used by many places outside of a specific single manager. Now we have connected almost all of the dots because UI has a handle to app, and UI can just pass. Where do I want to put it though? I'll put it after the dispatch. Get to utility service. Then this time we cannot forward declare. All right, and all that to get a username. Let's see if we build. And actually there's more to get the username because now I've got to do parts C and D here. But the tests are not going to build here. Well, actually no, they will build until I get to get to C and D, where I tear out the utility service out of, or I inject the utility service into the lobby service and then pull out the persona stuff. Okay. Oh, yeah. Done it, and that will return a route pointer. So there you go. What else? Oh, because now we're dereferencing it. Yeah. That might be it. Okay, so then we can add that's why. Okay. Are we typoing here? Utility. Utility. So you are right here. You're namespaced. Huh. We don't namespace our mocks. But we do now have to namespace you. And you're not the only thing. Network ID and player persona. Oh, missed one. 2. That was a very nebulous install. Ooh. All right. So hi, Chili Baby Back Ribs Barbecue Sauce. Welcome to the stream. Does Chili's have good baby back ribs barbecue sauce? I don't think I've been to a Chili's in 20 years. Comment in the stream if Chili's has good baby back ribs barbecue sauce. My favorite kind of barbecue sauce is Carolina mustard barbecue sauce. Which is convenient because I'm going to South Carolina in a few weeks and I will pick up some Carolina mustard barbecue sauce. How does Chili's baby back ribs barbecue sauce compare to a really good Carolina mustard barbecue sauce? Is it a Carolina mustard barbecue sauce? All right, before I tackle doing anything with it, I'm just going to do the thing I don't want to do first, which is actually I'm going to commit. So prior to replacing lobby service, get player persona. And do the thing I don't want to do first, which is pulling this out of here. You just rip it out and then see what blows up. Also got the Awesome Blossom with extra awesome. Is the Awesome Blossom like a blooming onion? That's what it sounds like. where they take an onion and they cut it with like an apple slicer, and then they deep fry it. Oh, asking the real questions today. Is it Blooming Onion a trademarked competitor name of the... What's it? I apologize. I did not mean to offend Chili's baby back ribs barbecue sauce. Forgive my naivete. Alright, what blows up when I just pull it out? That's going to be the easiest way to find the dependencies here. I don't think we'll... Okay, so the... Oh. Okay, party manager. So in party manager, we're going to also need to inject a utility service, which of course means we're going to have to rename this to the lobby service. So let's do that first. I sound like someone who hasn't even tried Chili's baby back ribs barbecue sauces triple dipper TM appetizer sampler. No, I haven't. I was telling you, I haven't been to Chili's in 20 years. I don't even know where Chili's is. Is Chili's still around? All we have around here in the Chili's category we have a shit ton of Denny's, and then we have a bunch of Applebee's. But Applebee's, I feel like, is on its way out. So I actually want to pass this by reference to be consistent. And lobby service is getting moved. Is that right? Did I read that right? It is. Oh, yeah. Wait. Why? Why? Why are we doing that? Why are we moving a raw pointer? We shouldn't be. It's a bug. Okay, I guess I will keep it a pointer. It's always hard when you encounter a situation where you have to choose between consistency within a certain file versus consistency within the code base. Let me choose certain file. So the memory header, Monsi1, that's for if you want to do unique pointer or shared pointer. Or I think the move stuff is in there too. Std move. So if ever you're creating one of those or calling std move, you need to have the memory header. All right. Utility service, and I don't even think we might not even, oh, we have a unique pointer here, but I was going to say we might not even need the memory header because I don't have any reason to be std moving a raw pointer. Okay. This actually might be easier than I was thinking to update these references. So first, let's just button up party manager and call utility service get player persona, which should just resolve. Then when we make the party manager, which is happening at when, oh, when are we making you an app? Yeah. Okay, so then that's easy enough. And then we're going to just preempt ourselves a little bit here and put it into the lobby manager. It's going to need it too. This might be easier than I thought. Oh, the tests. Yeah, I gotta update the tests. Utilities. I bet I'm std moving here. No, I'm not. Look at me go. Okay. Let's do the same exercise and rename you to lobby service. And then rename you to lobby service. Why didn't that resolve? Oh, yeah, because I just tried to do that last time, but it didn't. Okay. Oh, do I not even need the person? I thought I did. Oh. Really? I don't even need the player persona in the lobby manager anymore. Yeah, looks like I do not. So let's just discard all my changes to lobby manager. And then go back into app and undo that. And then we just need to update the tests. Oh, maybe I'm done. We'll see. That was less painful than I was expecting. Hi, Etog. Etog. We are working on, we are working on a, oh, hold on a minute. What did I oh, what did I do? Oh, I just forgot to put it down here. So I'm a part of a 2-person team, my husband and I, and we're using the game engine we wrote to write a game that I've been dreaming about for a while. It's going to take the CRPG dark fantasy experience of like the 90s, like think Ultima or Daggerfall or just like that, those really juicy, very difficult to play games from the 90s and try to compress it into a 30-minute experience via a deck builder. So it'll be a 4-person multiplayer competitive deck builder, so you're not cooperative. And gonna be oozing 90s nostalgia and dark fantasy. And I am very, very thrilled about it. So right now we're just working on the functional prototype at the moment. So if you've noticed, we've been streaming a lot more. We're going to keep streaming, but my husband and I we're almost never in the same room together these days. We are married. We do both exist, but he will stream in the early hours of the morn, maybe like 2 to 5 or 2 to 3, somewhere in there, a.m. And then I'll be streaming in the evenings, maybe every other day or every couple of days. And he is more of the C++ programmer. He's much better than I am. He went hard when he learned C++, and like he went all the way down to the bottom and then came all the way up to the top. He's quite a knack for it. So he's like engine architect and will like come through and like sweep through and correct my code and give me adjustments, and he helped me tremendously with the networking. He rewrote my Steam networking with his Steam networking and handled a bunch of stuff like what happens if you lose your connection to a game while you're playing it. Well, now you can rejoin an active game, and just things that I hadn't thought about yet or had thought about and decided they were out of scope for my skill set. So that'll be, if you want really in-depth C++, you'll want to watch his stream. I am a VB.NET and just kind of generalist legacy desktop programmer by trade, but then have been learning C++ for a long time. I know much more about graphics than he does, so I wrote the renderer, our second renderer, which was the Vulkan renderer, and then did a good part of most of the cutover to the Diligent renderer that we're using now. He did quite a bit of it too. So if you want to watch, like, if we end up doing anything back in the engine and it's graphics related, it'll probably be me. If it's more architecture and heavy lifting related, it'll be him. And then as we get further along, he'll be working on the music, and then I'll be working on 3D models and animation and all of the art. And then I'm driving the game right now. It was an idea that I had, so I made the game design document, and so you can flip between the two of us depending on what you're interested in and what your waking hours are, because I'll be more conventional evenings and he will be at the crack of dawn. But I actually find it really interesting to watch his streams because I learn stuff. His most recent one that he was doing, he went and tackled all of the issues that I was creating as I was doing the main menu prototype, like the lobby setup and the party setup. There was some stuff that I just decided to cut the prototype off at, and then he just went and swept over and fixed them all, most of them. So that's us. Welcome to the channel. All right, the tests. Yeah, we need to get the mock. Do we have the mock? Why do we even have the mock service factory? What's it even doing? Maybe nothing. Mock utility service. Then we need to make one of those. And luckily it doesn't have any dependencies. Where should I make it? Mock I utility service. The party manager needs the utility service.get. Then we might be done with our cutover. So if people have joined, yeah, it's something that I've been thinking about for a long time. So Ito, I'm gonna call you Ito HG, unless you want to type it out phonetically for me. But Ito HG was saying that the design sounds real tough because 30 minutes is pretty compressed. Yes. So a little more detail on what we're thinking. It's started out as a reskin of Dominion, the deck builder game, because my brother and husband and I would go and we'd text each other Dominion, and then we'd log on and we would play for game after game after game after game. The Dominion Online, I think it's the, what is it? I wonder if the URL is still around. Dominion.games? Yeah. Here. We burned so many hours on this sucker. And like the card game too, but the nice thing about the online game is you don't have to shuffle and manage the libraries physically. Anyway, so it started out as a reskin of Dominion, but I wanted it to feel like a dark fantasy RPG. But it's extended itself quite a bit beyond that now. So it will be, and I can show you, so this is a disclaimer, this is not my art here. I went on Pinterest, and some of it is mine. The viewport, I'll just show you, but most of this, I'm sure some of it is AI generated. This is not what the, I will not be using any of these assets in my actual game, except for, of course, the stuff in the viewport, because that's stuff that I modeled. Except for this image is stolen from Pinterest. So most of this, except for this guy and some of the painting, was stolen from Pinterest as a disclaimer. But a couple weeks ago I wanted to do a high fidelity mock-up of the UI and of the game surface so that I know what it looks like, so that I'm not having to make design decisions as I'm actually putting the high level art in. But the idea is that you will be an adventurer that has a limited view into their own fate. And the way that that will manifest is your cards, your fate, the view into your fate will be thrown through these rune stones onto this board. So you will see a very limited view of what the actions you're going to take next. So in this case, this player is going to draw these rune stones. They're going to tell him or her that they're going to train and then cast fireball and then sanitize bandages. And they have no control over the order in which these runestones get drawn. They also have no control in the order in which they take those actions. So you start with a starter deck of basic runestones. You pick your class between barbarian, rogue, and mage. You start with a basic starter deck of runestones. As you play them, it's more of an auto battler. So let's say that you draw 3 train strengths. So train strength, train strength, train strength. They're immediately going to combine into a train strength level 2. And then that will be here on the left. And then that will give you a bonus over a traditional train card. So if you guys are familiar with Dominion, Dominion has a concept of currency cards. So coppers. these train cards are going to act like coppers, except that they're not going to give you currency, they're going to give you temporary attribute points. So you have strength, agility, and intelligence are your 3 base attributes. So this mock-up is actually out of date because this should be train strength. But when you play a train strength card, you get 1 temporary train strength point. And I say temporary because at the end of your turn, so you draw your stones, they're going to combine if combinations are possible. Then they're going to enact and just immediately go boom, boom, boom and play. If you have accrued any attribute tokens from playing any train cards, then you're able to go at the end of your turn before it becomes the enemy's turn into the level up menu. And the level up menu will be a skill tree where you can purchase more actions using your attribute points. So let's say that you played 7 train strength cards and you have 7 strength points to spend. Then you can level up either by purchasing 7 skills that cost a 1 point or a 5-pointer and a 2-pointer, etc. And you'll find that there are constraints such that you're kind of locking yourself into one of the routes up the skill tree. And then at the end of when you finally defeat an enemy, so you'll be similar to a dungeon crawler, you will be navigating this maze rectilinearly. There will be 10 total enemies. Defeating an enemy is equivalent to getting a victory point. And the goal of the game is to defeat your 10 enemies before your opponents do. But you will be navigating through the maze. When you defeat an enemy, you will get a victory point, aka you'll have 1 less enemy to defeat. And you will also get to pick from a subset of equipment and weapons. But that is the slightly longer elevator pitch of the game. It's kind of complicated for you as a potato. Mr. Potato, you better not raise the ire of Chili's baby back ribs barbecue sauce because he was talking about blooming onions and he might turn you into a blooming potato. Well, I'm sorry, not blooming onions. Awesome blossom. How did I make the renderer? That is a really big question. But the first, so I'm not exactly sure what you're looking for with that question, but the most recent renderer that we have now, we used Diligent Graphics as our API layer, and you can think of it, for those unfamiliar, as a lower level. I didn't say blooming. I accidentally said blooming onion, and then I corrected myself, Chili's baby back rib barbecue sauce, to say awesome blossom. But quick talk on the renderer. So I'm using a library called Diligent, which is somewhere in between low level and high level. It's a little bit higher level than Vulkan. Well, it's significantly higher level than Vulkan, but it's not quite as high level as OpenGL, so it's somewhere in the middle there. But it is an open source library that allows you to write in a singular API that then can port to OpenGL, DirectX 11, DirectX 12, Vulkan, Metal, WebGPU, without having you don't have to write any code. It could just automatically handle whatever language you're building for, which is very, very cool. So I'm going to leave that answer at that for now, because how I made the render is a really, really long conversation. All right, so we were updating our tests. Oh yeah, so I wanted to make a new party manager here, so I just need to pass in the utility service. And if anyone's curious that joined the stream late, what I'm doing at this exact moment is prototyping the main or the class selection menu. And in order to do that, one of my steps on my to-do list was to get the user profile, the Steam name of the current player, because the class selection is turn-based. Each person picks their class one at a time, and I want to reflect whose current turn it is, but using their profile name. That has led me down a rabbit hole because we already had a method to get the profile name of the Steam user, but it was in the lobby service, and it is not a concern of the lobby service, it is a concern of a separate utility service, so that is what I'm making now. All right, so we build. Yeah, it's called Diligent. Maybe Diligent Graphics is the website. I will put the GitHub up here. I cannot recommend this library enough. It is extremely impressive. I wonder if can I send links in my own chat? Do you guys see that link? I know other people can't put links in the chat. I'm not sure why, but and this guy, Assiduous, is the most responsive host of an open source library. If you join his Discord, you can ask him any asinine question you want, and he will answer it, or has answered mine within an hour. He's really, really friendly and helpful guy, and extremely knowledgeable. All right. Okay, so let's just quickly test using my laptop here that we didn't break user profiles for the party in Lobby Manager. Okay. Then I want to, with my laptop, browse for lobbies. Okay, so let's see, it says all around Hubbard's lobby. Nice, and profile picture suite. That worked fine. Okay, so let's start the game. And now it's my turn, player 0, that looks right. So if I pick wizard, now it's this player's turn, they can pick rogue. And we're ready to start the game. That's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna commit that. Oh, actually, before I commit, never commit without running all the tests. Oh, and I did break one. Look at that, you guys. Look at that. Oh, I didn't just break one. What are you mad about? Oh, not an exception. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay. Well, let's figure out why. Oh. Okay. Oh, my utility service is null. That'll be my exception. Why are you null? Okay, let's go back to my tests. That was main menu controller test. Oh, that's why you're null. thing I ran the test before committing. We have a tremendous amount of tests and they keep us very sane. Thank you. Yeah, my remote desktop setup is working really well for me. And look at that, all of them passed. My husband uses Sandboxy, which also works really well for him, but I tried to set it up, but it didn't work for me. The only downside of this is I need a physical laptop. And it needs to be on and within reach so I can turn it on. And if it Windows updates turns it off, I have to go find it. I know. I'm also lazy with tests. And I'm becoming much, much better at it. Simply because I find that, so they talk about test-driven development, and I've never actually done true test-driven development. And if you guys don't know what that is, it sounds like most of you guys are programmers, so you do, but if anybody doesn't, test-driven development is when you have acceptance criteria for what you want, whatever work you're trying to do, what feature or what have you. And so what you do is you write tests. Before writing a line of code, you write your tests to the acceptance criteria, and you stub out your classes so that you have something to call in those tests. And then you expect the tests to fail because you don't have any methods implemented in the tests yet. And the idea being there that then you just slowly get each test to pass, and you're like starting from the tests. So it's test-driven development. I've never really done that. I've played around with it. I've never found I do it regularly in practice. But if you do write your tests before you write your class, that idea is really a useful one because, and I don't do this either very often. Sometimes I do, and when I do, my code is really well organized, but I'm not in the practice of doing it. But writing your tests before you write your class, or in tandem with writing your class, will force you to write your class in a way where it's maintainable and testable, because you necessarily must design it that way in order to get it into the test harness. And then you end up just writing better code. Okay, so tests are passing, so I'm going to commit my service swap complete. Now I can get back to what I was doing, which is show the username. Oh, that's not even done yet. This is done. This is done. Yeah, it feels nice. Test-driven development feels nice. I wonder, as like more and more people get into Claude, how development is going to change. Because test-driven development actually seems like quite a good approach for using LLMs. Show Steam username of, okay, text field that updates to reflect current player whose turn it is. So let's get into the class selection controller. Okay, so in the UI, we're going to say it's player's turn to pick. And then we want to go to the controller and we want to say, we have the utility service, right? Yeah. And how does the player persona stuff work anyway? So when we get a player persona, if the network, oh, we have to get the shoot. How am I going to get that? Okay. Let's... So we take the network ID, and then we check to see if our cache contains the persona for that network ID. If it doesn't, we go out to Steam and we load it. And then load the image into memory and then cache it. So now I need to poke around, figure out where is the link between the player ID and the network ID. More unfortunately, code that still needs to be removed. And exactly what I need. Game server data has the network ID of the host. Won't be you. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to bubble it all the way up, which is a bummer. Yeah. How's the persistent session getting them? It's a client session. Heal ping pong TDD? No, I haven't. Ping pong TDD. Oh, Evil TDD Ping Pong is a collaborative coding game where one developer writes a test and the partner intentionally implements the simplest or most technically correct but useless logic possible to make the test pass. This is amazing. That's cool. That reminds me of like the competitions they have for the worst user experience of all time. Where you have the like choose your birthday and then you just have to randomly click the shuffle button until your birthday appears. So I've decided I don't have another refactor in me for the night. And I'm probably gonna, when my husband wakes up in the morning, ask him if he's got a better idea on how to get the network ID into the UI layer for all players. So I'm gonna call it here for tonight, but probably stream again Saturday, I'm thinking. All right, thank you all very much for watching.